Well, hey there, it's Jen.
And Elka, welcome back to the Jen and Elka show. We have a huge announcement. If you haven't already heard us talk about this, we have our famous Profit by Design Academy coaching program, which is for all Zazzle designers who want to start, grow, and scale their Zazzle business to their first 5K month of profit. And that's really important if you don't, you're not in that yet, because we close the doors in 2 days and then we won't be opening them again until 2026. So if you want to have a great banner year in 2025 on the Zazzle platform using our coaching, then this is the time to get in. Our website's scrolling along the bottom, elkaclark.com/start and scale. But what we want to do today is give you a chance to come on live, ask us questions. We're going to tell you our stories, because that's why we do this. That's why we're teaching people. We could just keep churning out the money, like $10,000 to $20,000 a month, nice, easy, passive income. Instead, I'm working, and Jen's working harder than we've ever worked in our lives, trying to promote our training, which shows you the framework that we use in order to start, grow, and scale your Zazzle business, so that you can also have that passive income stream coming in, have a better life. And we want to talk to you a little bit about what happened, right? Our struggles, and then how did we get there? And then what does it look like afterwards? And then we want to talk about some of our clients, because that's the most important thing, right? It's great if it works for Jen and I, but is it going to work for you? And I know this is very much it feels like a sales pitch, but we want to turn it around and ask you, how would you feel at the end of 2025 if there was a change in what life looked like for you right now? Because that's what happened to us. We're just so used to it now. We forget, and we have to talk about what happened to us before. We're just all like, it's so exciting, we're going to do this. And we forget to talk about the fact that we used to be like you. We used to struggle. We used to like day in and day out, 8 hours a day, posting on the Zazzle platform, thinking we're doing a good job, and end up getting like no sales, or like enough sales to make a $90 first year payout, which we couldn't even get paid out, because Zazzle makes you wait till it's $100 before they pay you out. And so that struggle was real. That was hugely embarrassing. It just completely quashed our dreams, because we were like, we're going to do this. We've got solid, we see these other people doing it, and we're going to just have the best time. We're smart, we're creative, we can do this. And then to have that just be crushed, and it was devastating. It was almost traumatic. It was actually very traumatic, and very embarrassing, because everybody was going like, yeah, you can do this, and then we didn't. And gosh, that was a tough time. And if you're in that situation, and you're struggling, then you've got to keep listening, or just go right to the website and sign up, because then you'll be in the community, you'll be taken care of, supported. We have been we're very proud of the community that we've built. We're very proud of all the people we've helped all around the world and gotten to know personally, so that we were in their journey too. We helped them with their journey. We supported them in their journey. We felt the emotions, like when they made that first sale, like we were almost crying in some cases with some people. And then seeing them go from a couple of sales to sales every day, to sales so much that by the end of the week they've actually hit their monthly goal, before even the first week was out. And that's so exciting. It's a journey, right? And we want to have you come on that journey. We want to take you from where you are now, and let you just flourish, and empower you to take it to the next level, feel confident and calm. And that's what this is all about. And you use the Zazzle platform to make the money using your creativity, or even if you don't have any, we'll teach you how to do it. And all of a sudden, life changes. You have the money to pay off your debts. You have money to do whatever you need to. It's no longer a struggle, right? And so we want to make sure that you're completely aware that out of all the 7 years that we've been coaching, and we've always had the program open, this year we're doing something very importantly different, because we want you to succeed faster. So we've created a shorter program with more coaching, actually 36 hours of extra coaching. And I know that maybe seems daunting to you, but consider this. That's 36 hours more that you have touch points with us to ask the questions. Am I doing it right? Is my store set up properly? How do you actually make those intentional products you keep talking about? Did I just do an intentional product? Like, we can never make any income claims, but boy, are we ever good at getting people to make enough, like increase their ability so much that they start selling just organically. And this is so important. So can you stick with us while we talk about our journey? Please commit to that so that we can just dive in, because we really want you to also resonate with that and see if there's possibilities for you to do this with us this year. And that's our compassionate plea to say, hey, you know what? We don't want you to miss out, and we change it up this year. And we don't want you to go like, oh, you mean you don't want to let me in May or in June or whenever I'm ready? It's time to come in now, because we close our doors on March 31st. And yeah, the thing is scrolling along the bottom, which is awesome. But if you're watching on your phone or something, you might not see that. It's alkaclark.com/start and scale. That's where not only are you going to get the ability to get a huge discount, because we've also done a couple of things. By shortening the program, even though we've increased the coaching, we're able, because we pay staff and everything, we've able to bring the price down. So you are getting it at $1,997 rather than at $5,555. And it's an amazing opportunity, because we heard you. We said, hey, you are struggling. Economic times are not the greatest, but here's your way out, because that's what happened with us in 2008. I keep saying 2008. That doesn't make any sense. That was when Jen and I started, and it was a housing crisis. And we want you to understand that life will change, life will get better. Zazzle's always there, all through these crises that have happened economically, COVID, different changes in how customers buy online, have always been the structure of Zazzle has always improved, and always improved for not only them selling, but us selling, right? The sellers who sell on there. Okay, so let's talk with Jen, because I just gave you a mouthful. How do you want to go about this? Do you want to start with me or with you?
Well, why don't you start with you, and then I'll chime in here.
Okay. So 2008, Jen's going like, what the heck is mom doing online? Why is she doing all this stuff? I tried everything. I had a binder this thick of all the logins, because of all the things I was trying. And nothing really worked, except one day, one sale on Zazzle, a little button that said, save the polar bears, which I took a picture of some polar bears
at the Toronto Zoo.
Yeah, I know. When we were out at the zoo when Jen was little, I took pictures. It was grainy. It was terrible, but it was like save the polar bears, and I made it up as a button, because I thought that's how I'm going to sell on Zazzle. Zazzle's this great platform. They're all about saving the planet, because they're print on demand, and I figured, okay, this is the way in. And obviously my design skills have increased since then, but back then I was basically doing photography, and that even though it was a good photograph back then, yes, this is how old I am. The quality of the photo, that was the best quality possible. It was still very grainy. Okay, so and I'm going like, okay, this is it. This is the sign from the universe. I'm going to do this. And so a year of just continually just thinking, okay, I'll upload my artwork, I'll upload my photos, I'll do text designs, I'll do funny sayings. There was one where there was a t-shirt where it was based on the fact that Jen was starting to use Dad's Visa. And so I actually put on the back of the t-shirt, like, I love my dad's, and then it said apostrophe, and then it said
Visa on the back. Yeah.
Well, I didn't say Visa because I couldn't use the word Visa, but a credit card or something. And so it kind of looked like I love my dad, and then it actually was like, yeah, just the money. And so we tried everything, and yet $90 of payout, which doesn't even get paid out in the first year. And I was devastated. I was going like, okay, so all my brilliant ideas, they're not working. And how come? And so then I said, okay, well, I'm a scientist. I've come from a science background. I'm obviously very creative. I also, had a lot of hobbies that were, as you heard already, creative hobbies. And I also just really said, okay, I'm going to try to sell my artwork, sell my photography, sell this. And some stuff sold, right? But not where you could say, okay, I want to make $100,000 a year in profit, which is what I wanted to do because I quit my corporate job. Like, don't do that. Do the side hustle first, get yourself organized, then
Yeah.
that's my advice. But in the end, I realized, okay, well, I just made a huge error in not getting help right away. And I made a lot of assumptions based on things I didn't actually know were true. I just thought they were true because that's where I came from. And so I said, I've got to get some business advice. And there was none on Zazzle. Like, Zazzle's a print on demand company. Back then, people weren't even understanding what the heck print on demand was. They thought it was a
Yeah.
scam. And so I couldn't find anybody that could do training. And the people that did training, they had like an ebook, and it was basically, very bottom, like very entry level. And I'm going like, I need to make $100,000 a year. I need that money. And how can I do that? And when, it's like 100 times less than what, like, yeah, that's all I could accomplish. So I started looking at business, and I said, okay, no matter what business you're trying, as long as you run a business effectively with the core pieces, then it should work, right? And so that's how I started developing my 5 strategies. And within 2 years, I was making 5 figures profit. And then I doubled and tripled. And then I kept doubling and tripling every year my income to the point where I was making almost $200,000 a year in profit every single year. And at that point, of course, Jen was older, and she started seeing me make 100,000, and she'd met a boy,
Mm.
and so
Yeah.
she wanted. So I'll take over from there. But let me just point out that during that time, like, it sounds so amazing. Okay, Elka, you did this. This was over 7 to 8 years, right? Where I think at year 5, I finally made $100,000. Whereas our clients now in year 5 are making $500,000 to $700,000 in profit because
Yeah.
of the 5 strategies that I developed. But it was terrible starting out. I was embarrassed. I was frustrated. I didn't know what the heck I was doing. I was so overwhelmed. And I just, as soon as I started making money, I actually started feeling like this isn't going to last. Right. So that was the other thing. So every single time I made a win, I also had a loss. And what I want to bring out to you is our clients don't feel that anymore because they have us telling them, fix this, don't do this, it'll lead to that. And I'm so grateful that I can do that for other people because I don't want them to go through that like I did. And Jen is already a product of that because you didn't have as hard a time to get started because you didn't do it on your own, right?
No, and I think also I didn't have the pressures that you did, I wanna say, like, based on the fact that you needed to really supplement the income that you had previously, right? And I
Yeah.
was just coming out of high school when I first started out on Zazzle because I was 18, right? 18, 19 when I first started my first store, and my, I guess, pressures were that I was nervous about trying to figure out what I wanted to do as a career, and I saw that you were able to make money online, and my backstory is that I'm a very anxious person, a very introverted person, and I had like very little confidence in myself of like moving forward and having, let's say, a corporate job or holding down a job for whatever reason, just based on my personality. And so what Zazzle allowed me to do was use it as a creative outlet, which it felt very comfortable for me, right? It was like my own little safe space, if that makes sense to anybody who's, an artist and an introvert, but it allowed me to feel good about what I was doing and secure. At the same time as that, like, I didn't have that pressure of needing the money right then and there. I wanted the money for sure, and it allowed me to go and travel. And at the beginning, as you said, I met a boy, but that's another story that I'll tell in a second. But at the beginning, it allowed me to have extra income while I was in university to just kind of go out with my girlfriends or go out for dinner, go to the movie, all those things. And I didn't have to have a job on top of my studies, which was really nice because it allowed me to sort of have extra income here and there without, working at a restaurant or a bar like a lot of my friends did when we were in university off hours. And then after that, I did meet somebody, and that somebody ended up actually being from a different country, which was Spain. And I did fall in love with that person. And, it was like a whirlwind of a life where he had moved over to Spain and I was still living in Canada. And he had invited me to go on trips and to travel and to go and visit him. And then ultimately, we ended up deciding that I wanted to go and live with him. And the fact that I had now my Zazzle business built up because my mom was teaching me all of these things, I was able to go and stay and live there. And my first couple of years in Spain, I tried to get a job and I tried to do things, but because I didn't speak the language and I didn't have, papers, I was on a visa, right? I wasn't a resident there yet. It didn't allow me to actually physically get a job. Like I actually had contracts from companies, and the government literally said, well, why would we hire you when we have an unemployment crisis going on? Because at that point in time when I moved over there, it was during the unemployment crisis. And so Zazzle allowed me to live there, and I lived there for 10 years in total without literally ever getting a job. Like I never worked a day in my life when I lived over there, and I've never actually worked since then because Zazzle has allowed me to have the income come in. But it just was an interesting opportunity because, a lot of people at my age during that time had that dream of being, let's call it a nomad, or your gap year after you got out of high school to sort of figure out what you wanted to do and go and travel. And I was just living that dream life because I already had it all set up. Like I wasn't traveling and then working, I was traveling and then also had my secure job, let's call it, as a Zazzle business owner. And that's all because Elka had showed me the 5 strategies that she implemented. And throughout those years, I was able to sustain my lifestyle over there. I purchased cars, I had my own apartment, I had my own furniture. Like, I was living my life as a single, but like being in a relationship with this person, but as a single, early 20-year-old woman over in a different country, which was pretty wild. And I will never forget that experience, but that experience was only possible because I did have this base of income coming in from Zazzle. And
Yeah.
then, excuse me, then also bringing it back to what Elko was saying, like her initial original designs, like my life sounds so luxurious because of that. But honestly, if you go to my first store, you'll see like my old artwork from high school. Like I tried to put my artwork that I did in my school projects on, tote bags and t-shirts and stuff. And this is absolutely horrible. Like it's horrendous, like the things that we tried to sell that we thought would sell. But you see, the whole platform has completely changed, and it's absolutely amazing that we can now share our knowledge of what we know now as business owners and helping people from the get-go come on to this Zazzle platform and say, this is what will sell, or this will help you in the long run. Because when we first started, as Elka mentioned, like both her and I were just kind of throwing up things there and here because we thought it was cool or we liked it, or it was just like, I scanned, as I said, my high school artwork because I was like, I don't own a Photoshop program. I don't know how to do graphic design. So what do I have? I have this sketch of a frog that I did in grade school. So I'll upload it online and see if it sells, And so it was, a journey of figuring out what sells and what it is to become a business owner, not just a Zazzle designer. And I say the word just often, which is weird, but people think, well, I'm a Zazzle designer, which means that you're just putting up random products here and there. But if you actually step back and think about, how can I serve the customer, how can I serve this person who I'm trying to sell to, it changes the whole game. Because if you go into Walmart, if you go into Target, all of these places that are stores that we all associate with, why do they sell those things in the store during the time of year that they're selling it? Because people need bathing suits in the springtime because the summertime's coming up, right? Why do people need snowsuits in the fall? Because wintertime's coming up. And so if you kind of think about that in the same sort of aspect of print on demand, although print on demand allows you to create so many different products, you're still serving a customer's needs, because at the end of the day, that person is giving up their money to buy what you're offering, right? And so that learning curve came definitely not right at the beginning of my Zazzle journey, but quite quickly afterwards. And I fell into the wedding market for whatever reason. I just really was attracted by, fashion and design when I first was in high school. And I said to myself, well, how can I use this creative outlet, which is print on demand, but make it relatable to me, because if I'm just making t-shirts for no random reason just to make money, it's not fun for me, right? And so I had to figure out what actually made it enjoyable, and I really enjoyed looking at wedding magazines, looking at the wedding blogs, watching all of the high couture fashion for wedding designs. And that allowed me to take those sort of passions of mine and translate that into wedding designs that I made on the platform, which was really, really fun. And you know what? It was a really lucrative market too. And it's just, yeah, whatever it takes to make you transition into that mindset of being a business owner.
And fun. Like, I love that you mentioned that, because don't forget, you're not just doing a quick cash grab. You're doing like setting up a business that you're going to run for years to come. Jen and I have been on the platform since 2008. We're almost coming up to 20 years on the platform, which is unheard of for like an
Yeah.
internet online space. And because of that, you realize you've got to love what you're doing, right? And you've got to be able to be
Yeah.
consistently doing it, even though we talk a lot about doing it in 20 hours or less a month. And then that when you set it up properly, you can actually even take time off, which is kind of interesting, because like Jen and I, once we got to our like big figure months, or sorry, years, we actually started taking time off. We actually had another, life event happen. My husband passed away. And so that really shattered our family. Thank God that I had that Zazzle business going, because that like let me take 2-3 years off, and I could not only pay all my expenses, but I also could pay off all my debt, and I could take care of my family and myself while this happened to our family. And so I will always be grateful for that I set that business up, and I had this on, for myself as a person in a relationship, even though my husband was making a lot of money. It didn't affect our lifestyle afterwards, which was amazing. But what happened was it kind of gave us a case study for Zazzle stores. And we've actually taught this now to our mastermind clients, where you set this up in a certain way. And even though we can't make income claims, but it's happened a lot where our clients, they've set it up to the point where they're making the money that they want per year. And then irrespective of whether they chose to take time off, like Christine, who decided at this point she would take time off to go and do a degree in New York. So she took 2.5 years off doing anything on Zazzle. Or if it was like a life event, like our friend Wendy, she had COVID, then she had to have, shoulder surgery first, then she got COVID, then some people in her family passed away. And so a ton of things happened. And she got into Zazzle back in after maybe for like 4 months. And then she said, oh, I'm going to buy a house in Florida. So then again, she took time off. So literally from 2020 to 2025, she's literally taken almost like, I don't know, 8 to 10 months off every year. And
Mhm.
her Zazzle business is thriving, and she's doing as much as the people who worked even more consistently, evenly, which is awesome. Like, I think we say $500,000 publicly, but we just looked at her earnings again, because she's in our mastermind, and she's already at 530,000 again for the year. That's total lifetime earnings, not per year. Sorry, it's 30,000 this year already in the last 3 months, even though she took 5 years off. And then, so this is happening a lot. I think that's important because, first of all, that means that just like Jen talked about with 10 years, she had the ability to do stuff that wasn't work, but because she'd set everything up, and the Zazzle business just kept on churning. And we're finding that more and more, that it's really truly passive income once you set it up properly using our 5 strategies. And as long as, Zazzle stays around, we obviously can't, commit to saying that you're going to do this every year, unless, you have to have the platform there in order to do it. And the platform gets better every year. Every year they add more products. Every year there's better incentives for the sellers. Every year there's a bigger volume of people that see Zazzle as a place to go buy stuff on the internet all over the world. And so the main entry point and the issue for most people is they don't believe that it's possible. They feel like there's, they should be doing it on their own, because otherwise they won't make enough money, because they'll have to, pay all their money to someone who can teach them, which is a really sad thing, because that's just a mindset. Because you'd pay a coach to go teach you how to swim. You take your kids to swimming lessons, but you don't, you're trying to run a multi-million-dollar business, and you go like, I think I'll just do this by myself, just like I did initially, right? Like, and I got $90 in my first year. It's like, that's truly a multi-million-dollar business, if you ask me. But once I started getting the business side of things locked down, I trained myself. I looked at what I needed to consistently do and not waste time. Then I started to work. And those are the 5 strategies that we teach in the Profit by Design Academy, which is a Zazzle coaching program that closes in 2 days. So do you want to just bring in a few of these people that we talked about, or we're already at half an hour, but we do have some people on. If you have any questions, let us know. And then, do you want to just talk about, maybe give some people some examples of where people were, like Brandon, for example?
Like where they were?
Yeah, because I think, it's really important to hear people's journeys. Everyone is different, but everyone is capable. I believe that. It's only a matter of whether or not you believe it yourself and you're ready to go, and you get yourself the help you need to get there. And that is actually part of what we do in the Profit by Design Academy. It's not just all about strategy and making money. There's a mindset portion every month, because some people really believe that they want to do it and can do it, but they're stuck, right? Brandon, for example, incredibly successful anyway, still on Zazzle. Bless you. Zazzle, for 5 years, he struggled, thinking that he could put up his stock photography, and even tried to do wedding invitations and stationery and whatnot. And unfortunately, he made $2,500 total in 5 years. But now, in 7 years after taking the Profit by Design Academy and taking some of our mastermind classes, he has reached over $720,000 in earnings. So that means he sold $7.2 million on the platform, his own products. It's like what a difference, right? And that struggle was not something that he induced. He basically said, he saw that we had our program there for the first time. He jumped on it because he knew that what was going on in his, time and effort that he put in to trying to do this on his own. He just couldn't do it, right? He knew that $2,500 for 5 years wasn't really worth the effort. But in 7 years after doing the Profit by Design Academy, taking one mastermind back in 2019, getting 1 or 2 times where he did some one-on-one coaching, he has been able to achieve that. But he started in the Profit by Design Academy. And that's the whole point. We show these big numbers, but we want to make sure you understand that it's not a sprint. It's a nice, even, steady pace. Put in the work to do the foundational work, and then things exponentially increase. If you want to, you can actually follow Brandon's journey on our blog, or even on some of the podcasts that we've done, where we've literally outlined what he did in his first year, what he did in his second year, how did he get there, what did he do, how did he feel, what did he not do, and that he didn't, he lost money because of that. So if you want to, you can go check that out if you need more time to just really sink in as to, hey, I relate to this person. Yeah. Then we've got Wendy, and actually, except for Sandra, the 3 other ones, Brandon, he doesn't want to be on camera, but we did a podcast about him. Wendy and Christine, we've done interviews, so you can watch these on YouTube. And also, and Christine's done multiple interviews with us. And I just watched and listened to the podcast from Wendy we did in 2022 with her. And at that point, she'd made $170,000 in lifetime earnings. Yeah. Look at her now, 3 years later. Yeah. And actually, during that time, most of the time, she was either sick or shoulder surgery, or working with, taking care of her aging parents, or moving to Florida and taking time to renovate her house. So she wasn't even actively on Zazzle. But now, after 7 years of being in our coaching program, And once she took one mastermind initially, and now she's back in the legacy mastermind. But she's actually had the least amount of training, her and Christine. And look, they're like both up in the same range almost as Brandon. So it's
Yeah.
your own journey as to how you get there. And it really depends on what you need, right? And so Brandon needed framework. Wendy needed feedback. Christine needed a sales plan. And Sandra, she had amazing designs, but she just needed to have her products be seen properly. So she had a whole bunch of issues with getting her products and listings seen. And so this is how we've developed this bonus package along with the Profit by Design Academy for this cohort. And so you're just going to be so amazed because we it's this is what it costs actually, not what the value is. And now we've reduced the price even more because we know that you are in need of this program because to change your life. Brandon is retiring early. Christine is, having the best time of her life, hasn't worked on Zazzle for 3 years. And she's in New York, and is completely fully funded. Wendy is having the best time in her life in Florida now. It's just really lovely to see how people switched from struggling to try and make some money, which is probably where you are, to living what money can give them. And so we want to make sure that you can get into this. We can never make any income claims. Not everyone does well in the program, but there is a consistency of people doing well with people actually implementing the 5 strategies properly. And for that, we can say it's working for them because these are real people and they are really we're very grateful to them for sharing with us their story so that you can be inspired. And so can you make sure that you decide today, because I don't want to have you miss out. And then in 2026, you go like, wait, I could have been, on my path already, because it will take a few months to learn. It's going to take even a few more months to get better at consistently posting products that are going to sell. But then the sooner you put the work in, the sooner you're going to start to see it results. And most people see very much exponential results. And that's what had happened to Jen and I as well. So, and you can see my earnings online. And yeah, there's so many different things that we've done over the 8 years that we've been coaching. And we just want you to, if you're new to us and we don't have any connection with you yet, just want to have you jump right into the deep end and realize, wow, there's a lot of history behind this. And it's the best version ever. And we want to make sure that you truly understand that this could change how you see yourself in the future if you're deciding to use Zazzle as a way to make money online.
So you can go to elkaclark.com/start and scale, and you can see the 2 options for the payment plans. We have the one-time payment at $1,997 or an 8-month payment plan at $288 per month. And we start on March 31st, our Boost Bootcamp, which is the 3-week initiation and course walkthrough. I'm just going to scroll over to this slide here, which gives you an extra 36 hours of live group coaching. And we'll be doing training and also personalized reviews to help you create a personalized game plan for your Zazzle business.
Yeah. And if you, do you want to show the 2024? I think we should. Let's do that. The earnings of the people in 2024, because we talked about them. And so let's just do that. I don't know where that slide is, but just so you know, like, it's as much as we talk about the earnings per total, but maybe you're thinking because they made their money way in the in the past, but in 24, the people that we just made almost like somewhere around $100,000 each. And yeah, we're going through all our slides here to see.
Sorry, I'm trying to find it, but well, I can't seem to find it right now.
Yeah. But and then the important thing is if you've been in our Profit by Design Academy Classic program, the changes that have been happening on Zazzle don't get reflected in your lifetime access of that course, because we've stopped updating that in 2023. And the best thing for you is that even though you think, oh, I have the course, you don't. You have the 5 strategies, but you don't have the done for you mock-ups. You don't have the extra SEO templates that we're now using. You don't have the collection strategies that are super important now to get money, because that's now the key is to that collection strategy means everything in terms of scaling faster. And that's in the Profit by Design Academy. And then the all the mock-up templates and everything that Zazzle's sort of making us jump through hoops for, more so now. So if you're an old alumni with us or alumnus, then that's really important that you know that that's there for you in addition to the feedback, because that's how we've taken people who have been in our community before and have that old classic course. That is the game changer when they come into our coaching program. That's why we set it up as a coaching program, because it's not specifically a self-study, right? It's because not everyone's interpreting it the same way, because each person's store is so different. And so being in there and getting the feedback for your store as to how to apply the 5 strategies is the key to you succeeding. So Brandon in 2024 earned $120,000. That's take-home payout from Zazzle, and there's very little expenses that he pays. There's no ad spend. There's nothing really except for computer and maybe some graphics and internet that he's using. Okay, and Wendy made 120,000, 21,000, Christine 98,000, and Sandra 96,000. And as it says below there, actually all of them basically took 2024 off.
Yeah, like you mentioned. So
okay, so there we go. So just thank you so much for being with us for so long. I hope that really helps you understand our stories. Hopefully you resonate with that. Give it a good think, because we're starting strong and we're going to be strong all year, but you won't be able to get in after March 31st. And then you'll have to wait until next year whenever we open it up again.
So make sure that you go to elkaclark.com/start and scale and choose one of the payment options. And we can't wait to see you in the Profit by Design Academy coaching program. Bye.
Bye.